Why does weight loss, losing this stuff, feel so impossible for some people while others can seemingly get it done in short order? Well, I'm Mitch, Calfit Coaching, and I've helped over 2,000 people drop fat like this and keep it off for life with a three-phase process that I'll get into at the end of this video. But why can one person, probably someone you know, seemingly lose weight without much trouble? Well, another person, maybe yourself, has to fight tooth and nail to try to lose those 10 pounds, only to regain them as soon as you fall off the wagon. Is it metabolism? Is it hormones? Is it the fact that you don't have as much willpower as them, or you're just not trying hard enough? Well, the truth is, two things can be simultaneously true. Number one, you can't violate the law of thermodynamics. Calorie deficit causes weight loss. Eat less than you need to maintain your weight, you will drop weight. However, number two, maintaining that calorie deficit can be much harder for one person than another for reasons we'll get into today. And understanding that difference might completely change how you approach fat loss. So stay tuned, okay? There's my cliffhanger. Number one, let's kill the myth that insulin, whatever. There's lots of theories out there that try to kill this myth when we know, without a shadow of a doubt, it comes down to calories. Look no further than the class of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic. All of a sudden, people said that, I can't lose fat, got on the drug, ate less, dropped fat magically. There's no diet that bypasses this energy balance. Keto doesn't, even though it cuts carbs. Fasting, carnivore, eating clean, macro tracking, all of it gets you to the same end result, which is a calorie deficit. Okay. So if calories determine weight loss should be equally easy for everybody, right? Not so. So here, let's take two potential clients of mine, same weight, same calories, and I give both a diet producing a 500 calorie deficit. So client number one finishes off their calorie allotment after dinner, a little snack. He's satisfied. He's watching TV. He goes to bed. Doesn't think about food again. Client two, though, eats the same calories. An hour after that last snack, they're hungry. By 9 p.m., they're just getting thoughts of cereal and peanut butter and leftover pizza going through their head. And they're watching a video about weight loss while standing in front of the fridge. And they can't help themselves but indulge in another treat that pushes their 500 deficit calories to next to nothing. Okay. So these two people are on the same diet, but they have a different experience. So that is the takeaway. Hunger is not a character flaw. Number three, this is where I think the fitness industry overlooks how important this is. We've spent decades treating appetite like it's a moral issue, like, hungry, have more discipline. Cravings, have an apple instead of that sugar. Oh, you overeat? Put the fork down. Except appetite varies greatly from one person to the next. Genetics, environment, sleep, food choices, some childhood trauma, that beyond my scope. Even this previous weight loss can put you in this kind of ebb and flow of losing and gaining. And diet itself can increase hunger. Research has observed, increases appetite, and that varies by individual. Some people get a real increase in appetite as soon as they cut calories. Some people can manage it fairly easily. Because your body doesn't know you're trying to look better at the beach. It just knows there's less energy coming in, and it has defense mechanisms to try to slow that adaptation. Okay. So what is that adaptation? Well, we need to talk about the metabolic damage, because there's a nugget of truth inside a giant internet exaggeration. Like, as you lose weight, your calorie requirements generally decrease. Part of that is just boring physics. Okay, so when you get 30 pounds off you, you're 190 pounds, that requires less energy than you at 220 pounds. Simple math, right? It's called adaptive thermogenesis or metabolic adaptation. Your body can become somewhat more economical with energy during weight loss. And again, there's individual variations to this. Dr. Trexler had some work on this, where with larger effects generally becoming more relevant during aggressive or like substantial weight loss. Like the faster it happens and the more weight you lose, the more this adaptation takes place. That doesn't mean your metabolism is broken, and doesn't mean if you ate only 900 calories that you couldn't lose weight. You certainly would. Okay. So it can make it harder, but it cannot make the energy deficit disappear. Math is still the math. Okay. So here's how it usually breaks down for most people. So you start at 220 pounds. Maybe you can maintain your weight at 2,700 calories. So you eat 2,200. Boom. You start losing weight, 500 calorie deficit a day, 1 pound a week. Eventually you get to 205 pounds. So you've dropped 15. Now you've got a smaller body. You might be moving less without realizing it because of that adaptation. And instead of burning 2,700 calories, maybe you're burning 2,400. Okay. So your original 500 calorie deficit is like 200 calories now. So you're not getting those big weekly drops you were off the start by eating the same amount of calories. And then you might have more often slips. Saturday comes, your motivation is lower. You have a big meal at a restaurant, you have the bread bowl, and that weekly deficit becomes 0. And this is where people say, my metabolism stopped working. I'm still following the plan. But the math has changed. So like I said off the top, this brings us to one of the more interesting developments, GLP-1 medications. I'm not telling you whether you should or shouldn't use them. No biological free lunch exists. There are trade-offs, there are side effects, and there are costs associated. But that's a conversation to have with a medical professional. I'm interested in what they've taught us about obesity. Because what happens when we change someone's appetite? I'm a guy who's 260 pounds. For me to stay lean, I still have to fight tooth and nail with my cravings and appetite because that appetite was built in a former version of myself and has never fully gone away. So for many people, it becomes a lot easier when you suppress your appetite with these drugs artificially. The laws of calories didn't change, but your cravings, your desire to eat enough calories or more stopped. Okay. That's the cool part. I think most fitness coaches should be a little more humble about this. Some people just are naturally fit, especially if they came out of the womb with a six-pack and they're naturally, I'll be a fitness coach because I look the part. They've never struggled with their weight for 20 years. I was way overweight for the better half of my life. Okay. So I get that challenge. Now here's the useful part. If fat loss requires a calorie deficit, humans have different levels of hunger. I still think this is one of the different big factors. Our job is to create the easiest deficit possible. Not the biggest one that gets the fastest results, the easiest one. So there's keys to this, whether you use a GLP-1 or not. Protein at every meal. That's a huge hack. Protein helps with fullness. It burns more calories just to digest it. Obviously helps preserve lean mass, like muscle mass, when you're strength training and dieting. High volume foods, so like potatoes rank really high in the satiety index. Fruit, don't be shy of that one. I mean, quality fruit within reason. Obviously vegetables, lean meats like I talked about, like psyllium husk fiber, like before meals, that's just going to expand in your stomach and take the edge off your appetite. So anything that is a lot of food for a minimal amount of calories is where you go. Part 3, though, beyond the food piece, is not over-exercising, but strength training. Okay, so giving your body a reason to keep the muscle around, to keep your metabolism as high as possible. And it's not going to ramp up your appetite like super intense circuits or group fitness workouts will, or long cardio sessions. And on that same note, walking your 8,000 steps a day, not getting it from, again, high intensity running, that's going to ramp up appetite even further. Relatively easy way, and it's like a form of active recovery, which is a real hack, but it does burn calories. Don't negate that part. And I think the piece that most don't realize plays such a role in your appetite is your quality sleep. Good luck trying to control your hunger after sleeping 4 or 5 hours disrupted. Okay. And finally, leave room for food you actually enjoy within reason. Like whole foods are a hack, protein's a hack, but if you like pizza, eat some freaking pizza. Friday pizza night, maybe have 3-4 slices, you plan for it. It's within the context of your plan, and you move on. Okay. So ultimately, the big takeaway is weight loss is simple on paper, but it does not mean that it's easy. Calories matter. Hormones can play a role. Hunger hormones, not just your sex hormones. Depending on the stage of life you're in, it's more the cascade effect, like menopause, sleep's disrupted, you eat more, you lose more muscle, etc. Environment, habits, activity, genetics, these aren't competing with each other. They're all different parts of the same system. And if your diet like requires heroic amounts of willpower every single day, like you love carbs, you love bread, but you can't have it, you're eventually going to fail. You don't need more discipline. You need a better diet, because the best fat loss program is one that produces a calorie deficit on paper while allowing you to mostly forget you're even dieting. Like right now, I'm 8 weeks into a plan that has me losing less than a pound per week, but my waist is down 2 inches. I'm down at least 8 pounds of body fat, and I have a mega ice cream bar every night. Sure, there's trade-offs, and I have to stick within my 2,300 calories and eat enough protein, but that's the system I found that works for me in the long run, and I've tried it all. So if you're busy, you're over 40, tired of bouncing between diets or going all in for 6 weeks and then falling off the wagon, blowing up your life, subscribe to this channel. Hit me up on Instagram, Mitch Calvert Fitness. I'll send you our Big Five Foundational Principles document that kind of breaks down how the system works, and then you can take it from there. Cheers.